When you scroll through the endless sea of robot vacuums on Amazon, you quickly learn that the glossy photos and lofty marketing claims can be a trap. I've talked to a handful of people who spent a weekend setting up a high-tech model, only to find the thing struggling over a simple rug edge or sputtering out halfway through a mop cycle. That's the exact frustration I wanted to avoid for you today, so let's dig into whether the DREAME L60 Pro Ultra lives up to its hype or ends up another piece of clutter on the floor. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the L60 Pro is marketed as a one-stop cleaning machine, 35,000 pascals suction, a hot water mop, self-cleaning base, and obstacle avoidance sensors. The promise is appealing, especially if you have pets that shed daily or a kitchen floor that sees a lot of crumbs. But the real question is how those features behave once the unit is actually charging, navigating, and cleaning your home. Let's start with the suction. 35,000 pascals is an eye-catching number and, in practice, translates to a noticeable push on thicker carpets. In my apartment, which has a medium pile rug in the living room and a low pile runner in the hallway, the L60 Pro pulled up pet hair and dust without needing a second pass. On a high pile shag rug, though, the brush still missed a few clumps, and the robot seemed to slow down, occasionally stopping to realign itself. So if your flooring is mostly hard surfaces or low to medium pile carpet, you'll feel the power. If you have a very thick rug, you might still need a manual vacuum for those stubborn spots. The mop system is where the L60 Pro really tries to differentiate itself. It pumps hot water through the mop pad and, thanks to the extendable mop head, reaches the far corners of a room. I tested it on a kitchen floor that had dried spaghetti sauce and a light coffee spill. The hot water mop melted away the dried sauce faster than my old cold water mop, and the pad stayed damp enough to lift the coffee stain without leaving a streak. However, the mop's water tank holds only about 300 milliliters, which means you'll get roughly 3 to 4 minutes of continuous mopping before the robot heads back to the dock. For a quick kitchen cleanup that's fine, but if you're hoping to mop a 500 square foot house in one go, you'll be waiting for a recharge and refill cycle. Speaking of the dock, the Al-Anon self-cleaning base is a neat feature on paper. The robot empties its dust bin into a sealed bag, and the mop pad goes through a rinse-and-dry routine while the robot is charging. In reality, the dust bin emptied cleanly, and I didn't notice any lingering dust around the dock. The mop pad, however, emerged only lightly damp. The rinse cycle doesn't seem to scrub off every residue. If you're dealing with sticky messes, think melted chocolate or ketchup, the pad may need a quick hand wipe before the next run. It's not a deal breaker, but it does mean the sit and forget promise isn't 100% accurate for heavy soil situations. Now, on to navigation. The L60 Pro uses a VersaLift LiDAR sensor coupled with ProLeap obstacle crossing tech that can climb thresholds up to 8.8 centimeters, about 3.5 inches. In my home, that meant it could climb over the small rug edge at the entryway without getting stuck. The LiDAR mapping is fairly quick. The robot creates a floor plan in under a minute and updates it when you move furniture. One thing I noticed, though, is its reliance on a 2.4 GHz Wi-Fi network. If you have a dual-band router that defaults to 5 GHz, you'll need to manually select the 2.4 GHz band, or the robot won't even appear in the app. For households with a lot of smart devices already on 2.4 GHz, you may run into bandwidth congestion, which can cause occasional lag in the app's real-time map. Who should consider buying the DREAME L60 Pro? The sweet spot is a pet owner or a busy professional who wants a single device that vacuums daily and can handle occasional mop jobs without pulling out a separate mop bucket. If your home is mostly hardwood, tile, or low-pile carpet, you'll appreciate the combination of strong suction and a hot water mop that can tackle everyday spills. The self-emptying dock also means less frequent trips to the trash, which is a nice convenience for anyone who doesn't want to clean out a tiny dustbin every week. Who should skip it? If you live in a larger house with extensive hard floor area, you'll likely run into the limited water tank and the need for frequent recharges. Also, if your Wi-Fi setup is heavily 5Gs only or you have a very thick, plush carpet, you might find the robot struggling or needing manual assistance. Finally, if you're looking for a robot that can completely replace a traditional mop for deep cleaning grout or stubborn baked-on messes, you'll be disappointed. The L60 Pro is better at light to medium messes than the heavy-duty tasks. In terms of value, The